You know who's not going to be back at Arkansas?
KJ Jefferson?
KJ Jefferson, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because Bobby Petrino, it is reported, is going to be the new offensive coordinator at the University of Arkansas, which is a little ironic because today, one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen at Arkansas, at least in my opinion, KJ Jefferson. Well, Joe, is he in the portal? Is he not in the portal? I mean, we don't really know because he posted on Instagram that he goes, I haven't made up my mind yet, yada, 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 yada. I don't know if he's in or out. We'll find that out sooner rather than later. But Bobby Petrino is back in Arkansas. What do you think of the move?
So we were just talking about it a second ago. I think that as you have illustrated this, if offensively, if things go well, it does create this awkward potential tension with the coaching staff because Arkansas fans have wanted him to come back since everything that had happened. Plain and simple, I think that this is going to be really a big positive. I think that their offense is going to take a huge, massive step forward. We had question marks about Dan Enos. There were even question marks if Kendall Briles was really the guy going forward, and he ended up leaving and going to TCU, which failed horribly. I really think that him coming back is going to be massive for Sam Pittman sticking around for a longer period of time. What they do need to do, though, I think that they need to do whatever they can to recruit KJ Jefferson to stick around, because plain and simple, I think that he would work perfectly in the scheme that Bobby Petrino calls. We have seen the quarterbacks that are active runners that have played in this scheme that have been highly productive. I mean, we know what Ryan Mallett did. We know what Lamar Jackson did. And I'm not necessarily saying he's up to that Lamar Jackson level physically, but he can still have one of his best seasons in college and stay right where he is. Maybe there's a soured relationship between him and Sam Pittman we don't know about, but you got to do whatever you can to keep KJ Jefferson around if you want to have a good year this upcoming season.
Joe, I think it's a lose-lose because I just can't I can't envision. Now, I do think if they're winning and Sam Pittman in Arkansas is winning, I don't think there'd be a lot of heat to fire him. I'm not saying he would be fired if they're winning. Obviously, they wouldn't. But I do think that there'd be a lot of tension. There will be, like you mentioned, a lot of tension in that building because it's like, hey, man, we actually weren't that bad defensively. Joe, their front seven was actually pretty decent this year. You go look at what they did under Barry Odom and how much better they progressed defensively literally since game one. It was the fact that they could not run the ball, even with Rocket Sanders and a lot of these big offensive linemen who, by the way, did get hurt. But that's the area that I got to focus on. Joe, they are so bad along their offensive line, which is supposed to be the strength of Sam Pittman. He has not been recruiting at the level that you would think a coach that's a specialty. So let me give an example. You see Saban bringing in a lot of DBs. You used to see Dabo, but stay with me here. Dabo bringing in the receivers like he used to. And by the way, you see old Dabo today? Offering the kid in the portal.
A Division II offensive lineman. Great work, Dabo.
I hear he's not done. I
know, but it's hilarious that the first kid he offers is a Division II.
It's a troll, and you know that he's trolling people when he does that.
I know.
You see Kirby with defensive linemen, like guys that normally, specialize in something. When they go to a place, that it usually takes over. It has not done that for Sam Pittman. But, man, if they start losing, the Hogs are going to be calling all right. The Hogs are going to be calling for his head on a silver platter, and Juracek is going to give it to him. I think it's a lose-lose. The only thing that can happen for him is that he just wins, and then Bobby Petrino gets offered a head coaching job somewhere bigger, and then they do good. That's the only way that he will keep his job. But for me, man, it's so funny because I remember vividly because LSU, the team that I root for, a team that I cover now, Arkansas is a big rival to them. Maybe not so much for LSU in the past couple of years because we just kick their ass every year. But for Arkansas, It is their game. It is 1,000% their game. And I remember him having teams that were 10-2. Joe, they went 11-1. And the only loss that they had in 2011 was against that Tyrann Mathieu and that really good LSU defense. And then all of a sudden, with a secretary on the back of his bike, they get in a wreck. And if Bobby Petrino does not show up to a press conference in a neck brace, what are we doing here, I might add? It's just so crazy to me that we're here. It's so I feel like I'm watching an episode of Days of Our Lives, man.
It's just incredibly ironic, the cosmic irony for the buildup, the ascension of Arkansas football. It was at a point where we have never seen them, as you talked about,
right?
The unbelievable talent that was being produced, the NFL caliber players, the offensive production, for it to all come tumbling down for something just so silly. And it's stuff that we hear rumors about. That's the craziest part. It's stuff that you hear rumors about across college football, like with Brian Harsin is a really good example that comes to mind. But the fact that we had the visible, clear evidence of him showing up to that press conference, for him to come full circle, to not only be hired as the head coach, but to be hired as an assistant to come back, I think is perfectly hilarious. Now, if he had a sense of humor, he would wear the neck brace to a press conference, and I would absolutely root for it.
I mean,
by the way, I think
he had some really good players on that team.
DMAC was one of those players, right? I don't want to get ahead of myself.
I'm pretty sure Darren McFadden was not. Maybe he was. Maybe I'm misremembering. I'm trying to look that up right now.
Right.
I remember some of those guys that were on that team.
The first thing that shows up when you type in Bobby Petrino is like 8 different pictures of him wearing the neck brace.
So great, man. So great. Tyler Wilson. I remember that. Tyler Wilson, Brandon Allen, Brandon Mitchell. Those were the years. Running backs. He had Nile Davis. You remember Nile Davis?
Make sure you check out Bet Online for all of your sports betting needs. For anything that I do betting related, I go on over to betonline.ag and I use promo code BELIEVE50. BetOnline has all of the latest updated odds for the NFL and college football seasons. Anything you need, whether it's futures, live in-game betting, no matter what, your football betting needs are met at BetOnline. And again, make sure you use that promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV50 to get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.